shop lit where the circuits gleam. AL's got the tools, living the dream. Some things blow up, oh yeah, it's true. But it's all part of the fun when I'm sharing with you. Amp it up, let the music flow. AL's got the magic, come and see the show. Experimenting with wires, making sound divine. When things blow up, we just laugh, that's fine.
Greetings, the Astro 30 here yet again, and welcome back to AEL. Now, if you're new to this channel, please consider going down below and subscribing if you haven't done so already. Today's little project is the back panel construction of the 200 watt amplifier. Now, I've got the back panel off of the case sitting here, and I've marked it with an up arrow, and I've turned it around and faced me, so I know what orientation the back panel is supposed to be in, as in where things are going to be laid out. So the fan on this side, the output socket here somewhere, and more importantly the IEC main socket down the bottom of the panel, and the AC adapter board switchboard at the top. Unlike with that test amp where I ended up marking it out and drilling it completely reversed, and had to do something stupid like turn it upside down to make it work, so that the power cord came in at the top instead of the bottom where I wanted it. But anyway, we all make mistakes. So I've been out to J-Car. I've got a couple of things here. I've got this Sirocco, whatever brand, 12mm DC fan, 12 volt DC fan I should say, which is a sleeve bearing. There's the catalogue number there. For those playing along at home, it's YX2505. J-Car shelves are just really all over the place with stuff like this. It took me a good 20 minutes to find the bloody right one. Anyway, we'll have a quick gander at this, if I can get it out of the box. And it's a 2-wire job, not a 3-wire job, because there are some fans that have 3 wires. One wire is a temperature sensor wire, and this does not want to come out the box. There we go. Excellent. So that's the side that faces out. Made in Taiwan, actually, not China. That's interesting. Okay, so plenty length of wire here too. That's great. I'm just going to end up mounting upside down this way because the panel's upside down. So that'll mount over here somewhere, just like that, I guess. And the thing with, just a quick tip with the thing with fans is when you're going to service equipment or blow these fans out, don't squirt compressed air directly into the fan blades, causing it to spin around, because you will ruin the bearing. Take a screwdriver, like any screwdriver that fits in here, and just stop the blades from spinning, then hit it with compressed air. I've seen people sit there with the compressed air and they're like, you know, blowing on these fans, and the fans going and they end up exceeding the RPM that they were designed for, and you do ruin the bearing. So that's fine. So that's going to be mounted on the back, and it does actually give you arrow indications. You've got the direction of the spin, which is that way, so it's spinning clockwise from this orientation, and the airflow is going that way from the inside to the out. I mean, if you wanted to have it the other way, so it was blowing air in, you could always mount it backwards, but I'm not going to. I'm going to mount it that way. And I've also got one of these, which is known as a speak-on connector. Now, according to the data sheet for these are like as old as 1987, but however, I've never seen any equipment of that time period that ever had these things on. But then, you know, whatever. The colour number is PS1082, and they're about $9. The fan was about $20. So I'll get this out of the bag, because I need to measure its diameter anyway. Now, the thing with speak-on connectors, you'll notice there's a bunch of numbers around it. You've got 1 minus, 1 plus, 2 minus, 2 plus. This is very important because this is actually a stereo socket. So 1 plus and 1 minus is the hot and the ground of one channel of the amplifier, and plus 2 or 2 plus and 2 minus is the hot and the ground of the other channel. So the data sheet's not specific as to which is which, but I'm assuming 1 would be most likely the left and 2 would be the right, but it could be the other way around. I mean, as long as it's wired the correct way at the other end, it should make a difference. But if you're using it for a mono application, which I am, you just use the 1 plus and the 1 minus connections, and that's it. So you end up with 2 pins of a 4-pin cable not being used, but whatever. So the next thing to do would be to find out exactly what the diameter of that is, so I know what diameter hole to drill. I mean, it does say it in the data sheet. So we're looking at 23.1. So I'd need a 22mm hole, and I'd need to file it round to make it fit. I don't want to drill up to 24 because those screw holes are very close to that diameter. So yeah, I'm going to say 23mm. Well, 22 and then file it out. And there's a little metal tab here with a little arrow on it actually. That would be the way up it goes on the panel. So in my case I turn it around that way. So I had to figure out where the mounting holes go. Probably have to look at the data sheet, it'll probably tell me. And I also went to Bunnings and spent a shitload of money and bought a set of stepper drills. When I say a shitload of money, I mean about 13 bucks. It's a Craft-Rite brand, and you get 4 to 12, 4 to 20, and 4 to 32mm. So that's what I should have bought for that test amp when I was doing it, because, well, I didn't know at the time that those Temu ones were crap, but I do now. So those will probably just end up in the bin. But these I trust more than I would trust anything from Temu. I thought that was a chip in the drill bit. No, it's just a bubble in the plastic. So yeah, it was 13 bucks. It did say $11.98 on the shelf when I picked it up, and got charged an extra $1 for the privilege. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape off some stuff and mark out some places where holes are going to be drilled and such. I don't have the 60mm hole saw for the fan yet, that's on order, but I can drill the pilot hole in the centre and the mounting holes on the outside, plus the mounting holes for this board, which I thought had standoffs on it, but it doesn't, so that will sit next to it. So I've got to work out where I'm going to put stuff where it's not going to interfere with each other. I mean, pretty much like that, I guess, although that would be up that way because yeah, okay, alright, let me get busy doing that, and I'll come back when I've got something more interesting to show you. Well, that was a lot of effort. It took me about half an hour, but I have got it all marked out, and it will be right the correct way up and on the correct sides. As I look at the unit, the AC should come in this side, that's where the transformer is, and the heatsink's over here, so that's where the fan is. So yeah, that should do just nicely. There isn't much room for anything else, so I've got the IEC marked out. I'm going to drill a series of little holes on the inside of that square so I can actually cut the Dremel in between it, so I'm not actually trying to cut out a square hole through this stuff because it's very hard work on the tool. There's already holes there, just trying to cut a little slither of aluminium between the holes out with the tool is a lot quicker than trying to cut the hole out directly. And the rest is just drilling normal holes and sizing them up. So I'll get to center punching these, pilot drilling them, and then doing the final drilling. The fan, I reckon I'm going to use 4mm screws. They should fit through there. I don't see any reason why not. I should probably check that. I've got a bunch of Temu crap fucking screws, so I'll drop them on the desk. Oh yeah, 4mm will fit there just nicely. So that'll be the hole size for that. And 4.2, something like that. And I'll come back once it's all drilled and cut. Alright, pilot holes are drilled, and this is what I meant about drilling a series of holes on around the inside perimeter of the cutout. And I can just see where my line is. And basically it's easier on the tool. I just cut with the blade until this bit in the middle breaks out, and then file the rest clean. I'm not worried about cutting a nice straight edge or anything. Just a little bit of work with the file should get the job done just nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up the Dremel and cut this out. Was going to do it outside, but I might just do it inside. It's too bloody cold outside. I've got a computer monitor sitting behind me, so I'll just drape a towel or something over it so it's not sending the cutting dust all over it. Garbage bag works just as well. That'll do for the time being. I'm only going to be cutting probably for about a couple of minutes anyway. Alright, it's going to be a bit awkward to do on camera, but anyway. Now we're almost through on that side, so that's how much quicker it is. Let's see how I did. There we go. Now we have a hole. So all I need to do now is file that out so it's nice. I slipped with the Dremel and doesn't look like I scratched the surface of the panel, which is, oh, that was close. Okay, let me get to filing that off camera, and then I'll come back once, you know, I've got more progress. And a short time later, well, about half an hour or so, it is now all drilled, apart from the 60mm hole over here for the fan. Everything's sized up to where it needs to be. The IEC socket filed out so it fits in there. Everything's deburred. I tell you, drilling that hole's a lot fucking easier when you've got a drill bit like this. That's actually sharp. Took me in 10 steps to get to 22mm. All of about 45 seconds to eat through that, whereas the Temu bit took like over a minute and a half just to drill like a 20mm hole from an 18. Yeah, that's what I think of Temu. Now, I filed this out a little bit bigger so the socket sits in there just nicely, and you know, all the holes line up. So all I've got to do is I've got to screw everything onto the panel. I might even screw the fan on, why not? It can be put on there, I guess. I can get rid of this bit of tape, but what I really need to do absolutely as first thing is to completely clean this panel now and get all the, you know, dust and crap from drilling and cutting off, and my fingerprints, and then I can assemble said panel. Alright, moving on. Need to buy another bottle of Strike. Smells like a toilet. Well, like a clean toilet. I say that every time I use this shit. Well, that's basically what it's used for. It's used for cleaning the toilet. Among cleaning cabinets and other things as well, but it's going to have a nasty print there that won't come off. I don't know what that is. Remind you of anything? I'm being dirty at this point. I'm going to put that 2.3mm drill bit up there where I can lose it. Turn it over and I'll do the same to the rear. That's a bit more like it. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do for the day, but this is going to be continued in the rest of this video, obviously, because there's not much to do with just, you know, this panel. Once I've got the hole saw and I've cut the hole out. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, if our fan is 60mm in diameter, which it is, and it's also 60mm across each way, and the holes are at 50mm each, well, wouldn't the hole saw cross over our mounting holes? No, because, well, it's a circle, so it's going to clear that just fine, because you look here, that's also a circle, and it clears those holes just fine. It's all of about, I don't know, 2 or 3 mil between the edge of the hole and the mounting hole. So if you were to take a ruler, for instance, and put it roughly where the center is, I've got it on the 200 mark, and 30 out that way is one edge of the circle and 30 out that way is the other edge of the circle. So if you go diametrically opposite each of the mounting holes, like so, so there's 200, there's 30, so this is where 30 ends here, and you can see that there is about a 2 to 3mm gap between the edge of the hole and the mounting hole. Same over here, 170 is 30mm away from the edge, the center, and there's a good, well, at least 2 mil to here. So yeah, a lot of people get confused about fans with mounting holes and things that are round. Well, the circumference of the circle is going to be a lot less, or the radius is going to be a lot less to the outside than you think, is what I'm trying to get at. So, fun fact. Alright, I need to put the drill back on charge too, because it's been really working hard for the last hour, and the battery is starting to become a little bit on the knackered side. So I'll put that back on charge and I'll get to assembling the things onto the panel, and we'll come back once I've done that. Well, there it is there for the most part. I can't mount the fan servo because I don't have enough M3 6mm screws. I was going to buy some this morning, but the only pack that they had was the pack of 100. It's only like $7.95, but I thought, nah, I don't need them right now. Yes I do. I got that in upside down. No, that's the right way up. Why did I tie it there then? I meant to tie it up there. It doesn't matter. I could do that just to, yeah, whatever. So the fan just accepts the M4 nuts just nicely, and then actually in some cases, on at least 3 corners anyway, jams it up the side of the fan so the nut won't spin. Except this one over here, which wants to free spin, but I can't really tell why at this point. But I probably should check to see that the fan actually works. That might be a good idea, and it would help if I had the switch turned on the power board. Right, there we go. I'm going to use the new power supply I've got. I'm going to give it 5 volts. And at the correct polarity, like so. Okay, turn the thing on. Nice. Now it's not going to be doing much because there's no hole on the other side. I mean, a little bit of air is coming out that small pilot hole, which is okay. So let's 7 volts, 10 volts. 12 volts and it's drawing 168 mA. But it says it's only 130 in specifications, but anyway. It's not a very loud fan either, surprisingly. I can hardly hear it, even at the full 12 volts. I mean, it is making noise now. Alright, so I don't want to do that for too much longer without adequate airflow going through the fan. We know the fan works. So that was all we needed really to find out. So, before I can proceed, I have to go get some more screws. I've also run out of the 10mm spaces, so I'm using these 12mm, blah 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 blah, let's try that in English. 12mm ones that I got off eBay. They seem to be okay. It does put that AC board a little bit further away. I wanted it so you can actually get your finger behind there. Ow! Only kidding. Just don't do that. You shouldn't be sticking your fingers in there anyway. Alright, so I guess for now I can mount this back on the case and move on to the next bit when I actually get some more hardware items and the 60mm hole saw so I can cut the hole. That'll be the next thing. I want to order a finger guard as well to put over the outside of the fan so you can't stick your fingers in there. But all in all, it's coming on. And this is the first time I've used a speak-on connector. Yeah, nice. So, alright, I'll mount this back on the case for now and then move on to something else. And yeah, I'll come back when I've actually got some stuff to do things with it. Well, I've got all the components mounted to the back panel now. I've even got the speak-on connector wired up with some quick disconnect crimps. I was going to solder it to it, but yeah. I got the fan controller in there and the fan, and everything's neatly tied in. And that's also wired off to the NTC, which I'm not sure about. I'm happy where that location is. I reckon that should be more like mounted somewhere here on the heatsink, where the heat's actually more concentrated rather than down here, because this will also react to ambient temperature, so it may false trigger the fan to turn on when this isn't even hot. I found that out whilst testing it. I had this turned on, sitting idle, not connected to a load. This was cold, so was the bracket, and I had the heater going underneath the table, and after about 5 minutes that fan was going at full speed. But the potentiometer is still set to about halfway down there, so it's not actually adjusted properly yet. So yeah, I'm probably going to end up moving that. That's fine to have the hole still there, because I can just put a small 10mm M3 bolt and nut through it, and we could just say, well, that's just a locator screw and there won't be a hole there. That's fine. There's just one problem now. I have to take all of that off the panel again, because now I need to drill the hole for that fan. So you can sit over there for a moment. So first off, I've got one of these 60mm fan guards. I got it from TronFX off of eBay. Great seller. It's a 60mm square metal fan guard. Guard Tech, I believe that's the brand. According to him, it's SC60-W2B and it's black. And comes in his customary Ziploc bag. I have checked this off camera it does actually fit over the fan opening and lines up with the holes perfectly, so that's fine. And yesterday I also got my hole saw in the post. Now I was expecting it to come in a cardboard box, or at worst just in the speed pack thing that they always come from in China. But to my surprise, it comes in this cute little tube. Well, it's not really little, but it's a tube. And I thought, oh, that's a nice touch. I'm also going to complain about what's happening on eBay, and it's going on a lot, is a lot of Chinese sellers are saying that the items are located in places in Australia and in the UK too. It's happening over there. Like they're saying it comes from Melbourne, Australia. That's where the item's located. Well, it's not. This is located in Shenzhen, China. So eBay really need to crack down on that, and because that is well, I'm not going to say fraud, but it's false and misleading. Anyhow, so it took about a week and a half to get here, which, yeah, in a speed pack from China is about right. Take the top off. Here's the tool, and I like tools because I'm a bit of a tool. It's a fairly thick construction here, and it does feel pretty sharp enough, so hopefully it's better than that stepper bit that I got from China. But that came off of Temu, this came off of eBay. Diameter is 60mm according to that. I have actually put the calipers on this, and I'll do it again on camera. It is actually 60mm, so my calipers are zeroed. And I'll do it to the edge of 2 teeth if I can. And there we go, almost as accurate as this tool is, dead on 60. So that's excellent. So this should go through 1.6mm thick aluminium just fine without too much effort. And they say you should be using cutting compound or cooling oil. I don't actually have either, so I'm going to just probably use WD-40, which is not a good solution, but it'll work. And I hope you appreciate the stuff that I do on this channel, because I'm often filming stuff at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, here's the pilot bit. So this is, I believe, 5mm or something, and it's got a spring on it. Now the purpose of this spring is, if anyone has ever used the wooden hole saws before, you're drilling through something like that 16mm, 20mm thick piece of wood there, and you get to the end, you've gone through, you pull the bit out, and the bastard is stuck inside the tool, and you spend a lot of time faffing and farting around trying to get the bloody thing back out again. Well, that's what this spring is for. So that once you've drilled through and removed the bit out of the work, the spring pushes the piece of metal out of the end of the tool. But of course this is a point of wear, so this spring will probably eventually, after a lot of use, go away. That's fine. And they even include the Allen wrench to attach this to the bit. So there's the grub screw there. So there's a flat on the drill bit here which would have to go in line with that grub screw. So I might have to unscrew that a little bit further just to make sure that it is fully all the way in, which it wasn't, but it is now. Then I can tighten it. And the drill bit slightly rotated to seat. And if I can get the bloody key to go in the hole, give it a little bit of a tighten. That's all we should need. And this is ready to go. Alright, I got the thing clamped to the decking over there. Hopefully that's going to work. It's a bit precarious. It may not work, but I'm going to give it a try. So, here comes the fun. Right, well, we're through. Well, that just undid itself. It's going. About halfway through. Shuck keeps on doing itself. This may take a while. I mean, it shouldn't, but it is. I'm almost through too, cool. That's what I was afraid of. It grabbing like that. A little bit more. Ha! Easy as pie. Well, not exactly. It took about 2 minutes to drill through that, but really should be using a drill press and clamped properly. But I've got a hole now. I mean, it's a bit messy, but I can clean it up with a file. But it didn't cut through the drill holes here, so that's good. So I need to get rid of all this swath and clean up a bit, clean the hole out, and then I have the fun task of reassembling the panel. Okay, there's the hole all cleaned out, and I used a bit of sandpaper because it was easier. Panel's been cleaned again, free of oil, and that's the fan guard. Now you'll notice that, well, it's smaller than the hole, but that's perfectly normal because the fan itself, if I bring this in, will sit like that. So that's perfectly fine. And then you put the finger guard on that way. I mean, technically you don't really need the finger guard there, really, but yeah, and you can't put it that way because it's got a slight little taper to it. But yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. I do have one little thing to add to this panel to make it look a little bit more professional, and there's an extra 4 holes here which don't appear to do anything. That's for a special purpose later in another video, but if you can guess what I'm going to be using these extra 4 holes for, leave a comment below, and if you're right, I'll pin your comment. A couple of weeks ago I bought one of these Dymo labelers that print on the well, the self-adhesive little tape stuff here that you mark on books, lunchboxes and whatever else. And I thought this would be easier to do for things like, well, marking the speaker output and its impedance. So I might as well put these on first before I actually screw anything to the panel. Welcome to AEL, watch me stick labels to a piece of metal. There we go. Finally. So at least that's marked now, and we know roughly what they do. There's a piece of crap stuck under that. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and finish reassembly of the panel, and I'll come back once it's all reassembled. And I'll clean up some crap whilst I'm at it. So all the peripherals are mounted on the back panel again. I got a little bit excited with this fan and I'd routed the cable around that way. And I must have put the fan at a different orientation because the text was not the correct way up on this side of this label on top of the fan here. I don't know what I did, but because there wasn't a hole, 60mm hole there, I kind of put the fan in probably at 90 degrees off. So I just cut the cable ties off and rerouted the wire, no problem. Even have a fuse marking label here to tell you what size fuse to put in it. So now all I've got to do is put this back on the back onto the case, and then we can end this video because I think it's gone on long enough. It's like I bought one. There we go, it's all back together and I'm quite happy with how everything's turned out. I had to tighten those crimp connectors on the speak-on connector there because they were a bit loose. So they've been tightened by just clamping them down a little bit further with pliers. Everything else is in, and my fan NTC connector came back unplugged when I was messing around with the connectors. But that's alright, I'll plug that back in a second. And I haven't plugged the IEC connector into the main board, but that's fine. So yes, this project's coming on, and I'm quite happy with how it's turning out. Still got the grounding issue to work out, but we'll cross one bridge at a time, eh? Anyway, I've been the Astro 30. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to go down below, like, comment and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And as always, this is the Astro 30 saying, see ya, have a great day, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. So first off, that stinks.
Amp it up.